All right, everybody, welcome back to On Point. This episode is me and Jake Downs covering an area that isn't that covered, actually. It's kind of the putting in the work, the hard work, the mentality, and what Jake values in his own work ethic and what gets him off the couch and to basically earn his hunt, as he would say. And love the mentality, the no ego, no bullshit, this is what I do kind of thing. And something that I needed to hear. It's super refreshing. And just really appreciate his perspective into what makes him a successful hunter. So hopefully you guys get something out of this. I know I personally did. I went on a mile long run, which I hate running. But I went on a run after this podcast. Totally didn't feel like it. But just definitely using the information, using the motivation, and going out and putting in the work. And I hope you guys are too. It's starting to come up to season really quickly. A lot of guys are less than 60 days out from their tags starting to open. And I hope you guys are putting in the work. So as always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you at the end. Bye. All right, man. Well, I am ready to get this thing rolling. So you ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and start off with a quick introduction. I'm pretty excited. I was telling my wife, who you talking about to this time, or I don't know what she was thinking I was going to do for this podcast, but I was telling her it's this guy named Jake Downs. He's a trad bow guy, compound guy. He's killing a lot of shit out there, and she's like, "Oh, cool." And then she just started watering the lawn and the flowers and all that crap. So I could tell she was super excited for me. But go ahead and give some background information, man. I'm sure a lot of folks probably already know who you are, but there might be a few who don't.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot that don't. Yeah, like you said, I'm Jake Downs. I'm an electrician from Northwest Nebraska. And if I'm not, I got 2 kids and a wife, and I spend, I'm just a normal guy. That's my, I've had people tell me that that's not true, but it's 100% true. I just get to spend a lot of time in the woods, and I found a way to work hard to make that happen. So, just a family man that loves to hunt and just work hard to get opportunities.
Well, one thing that I've really enjoyed following you and watching your journey is, and I followed you for over a year now. I'm guessing it's been a while. I've been following you on Instagram and stuff. Is there's just not a lot of ego there. It's just, here's what I do. Here's how I do it. Here's what I love to do, and if you want to follow the journey, then here you go. Like, this is who I am, and there's a lot of egos out there, and there's a lot of professional Instagram hunters out there that I say Phelps talks about those professional hunters, but they're holding a bluegill in their profile picture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those guys out there, man, and you're just not one of those. You're very genuine, and that's the way that you come off to me, and I really appreciate that. And I'm not quite, the silent assassin, because people are really starting to figure you out and know who you are. But you're definitely going out there and getting it done and finding success. And I appreciate that, especially when you're using a stick bow. And so I want to go out and in this podcast, basically, if people don't know you, I want to introduce my audience to you, and then also pick your brain about how you're finding the success, about your mentality, and just maybe kind of give people some hope that, like you said, you're an average guy. I'm sure as hell an average guy, probably a below average hunter. If you ask me, there's a lot of guys out here that are killing big rosies every year, and I'm like, man, I'm shooting the first one that walks out, So I think there's a lot of guys that can really relate to you, and I know I sure do. So,
well, I appreciate that. That's really what. Like, I have no ambition to be in the industry. Don't get me wrong. If the right opportunity came along, I definitely I'm not an idiot, right. But for me, the reason that that's good that it comes off that way, because that is really what, the reason I started just showing my life is because I got sick of all the comments. 'Cause I used to just post pictures of dead stuff, and cool, things I was doing, and left out all the hard work. And I just got sick of that must be nice comment. And I said, all right, well, yeah, I'm going to show you how nice it is. That's just what it kind of stemmed from there. I was like, I'll just show what I do. And I've done it for a long time. It's not like I just started doing, any of it. But I'm glad it comes off that way. That I appreciate that.
Well, I can tell you that, watching your especially your fitness journey, because I'm trying to, shed what I gained from COVID, and just like a lot of folks are, man, and watching your miles and your paces and stuff like that. Weren't you running like, what was it, like at 10 miles the other day or something like that? And your pace was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's I've I've actually never been um a runner. Never, like in high school, I was not into track or cross country, anything like that. I've never been that athletic. I honestly hate running. And up until March of this year, I hadn't ran any farther than 4 miles, and decided that I needed to get in shape for the sheep hunt, and decided that I was going to have to set another goal besides just the August sheep hunt. So I set a goal to run a marathon, and then just, yeah, I didn't really train for it. I just kind of went out and ran. And now I'm up to, on a normal day of running, I'll do 5. And then I always tell my wife, like, sometimes I say, let's go do something crazy, or you should go do something crazy.
Mhm.
To me, that's, running 10 miles. And so I'll do that here and there now that the marathon's over. But yeah, it's
I could tell you, man, I freaking hate running. I hate it. I'm like, I don't know if you hate it on the level that I hate it, but I freaking despise running. But I know that when I do start running more, I do start enjoying it more. Like, you start getting over that, maybe that first 6 or 8 times you go out and you're like just coughing up mucus and crap, and just feels like you're coughing up cobwebs out of your lungs. And then finally you're like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. And, like a long run for me is 3 miles. And so I freaking hate it. I do.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I hate every minute of it. Even now, like, I can go run 10 or 5 miles, and it doesn't hurt near as bad. But I hate every minute of it, because you're in your head for 40 minutes, whatever it is, 45 minutes. And that's one thing I think it's super advantageous, is the fact that it's a huge mental, because you just can't, you want to stop, you want to walk a little bit, you get it to a hill or something, like, I'll just walk up it. And you got to really talk yourself out of that. And I think it's a good, I definitely do not love running. People say they really love it. I hate every minute of it until I get done. And then when I'm done, I have the greatest satisfaction out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different workout. And now it's weird, because like the other day I got up and I worked out for about an hour in the basement. I lifted a little, which I don't do anything crazy when I lift. And then I put the backpack on and got on my little stair stepper machine, and did that for like 20 minutes. And, so I spent a good hour down there, and I was sweating pretty good. And it was weird. Later in the day, I was like, man, I didn't even work out. My heart rate didn't get up that high, which is great. My endurance is gone through the roof because of running. But it's weird. If I'm not just drenched in sweat and my shirt is just drenched, now I don't even, like, I used to work out for like 20 minutes and feel like I just killed it. And now if I don't do certain things, I feel like I'm slacking. It's weird.
I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, say if you worked out for 20 minutes, I go to the gym probably 3 to 5 days a week, and I'm there for an hour, usually about an hour, and I'm done. Like, I superset everything. Everything's like a what do you call it, a circuit, right? And I see guys there that man, they must be there for 3 or 4 hours a day, and I just can't freaking do that. First of all, I don't have the time. I'm just too busy. And second of all, I don't want to be that guy. That's not my goal.
No.
But what I
No.
struggle with is working out and then also shooting. Because if I work out, I probably need to shoot before I work out. 'Cause I think honestly, Cameron Haynes has it backwards. It should be shoot, lift, run, or something like that. Because after I work out, there's no way I can shoot accurately. I'm burnt. I'm just everything's struggling. I've tried it. I don't like it. I feel like it just causes me to fight having to have a good shot process the whole time, which maybe you're working out that mental shot process muscle, but I just hate it. I have to shoot before I work out, and very rarely do I even have time to do both. So I wonder,
Yeah.
but so talk to
Well,
me, or yeah, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, it didn't really matter about how long it is, because all when I run 5 miles, it might only be 40 minutes, um, but that whole 40 minutes, my heart rate is way high, and so I think that's and I'm drenched in sweat. So the intensity of the workout is more of what and like you said, I mean, I'm an hour a day, if that kind of guy, at 45 to an hour.
Yep.
But yeah, and as far as shooting, I've done the run while you shoot, and it is tough. It's um, I don't know. That's a whole new ball game there, but
Yeah, man, I've done all sorts of like trying to train for bow hunting, like run or do push-ups or hold your bow back for a minute and a half and then shoot drills. Like I've tried all that stuff, and honestly, just spending time focusing on a good shot and then practicing scenarios has always been
yeah,
like the number one thing. 3D shoots, I don't know if there's a better thing you can do to get ready for a
yeah.
hunt.
No,
3D shoots are amazing.
I agree. I only shoot 3D targets, and about now is when I switch to only shooting broadheads, unless I'm at a 3D shoot. But in my yard, I'm a one arrow with a broadhead guy,
Really?
and I mean I've even got I bought a freaking um, doll sheep target because I I'm going doll sheep hunting. Like I want scenarios like you say. I mean that's the best, especially when you're an instinctive shooter, and you're relying on a sight picture. You really need that. So
Well, talk to me about, and I want to get into more into that here in a little bit. But talk to me about your kind of your journey into bow hunting, and when did you start? Did you start when you were a kid?
yeah, I've been hunting since I was. I mean, I don't even. I My parents have pictures of me. My dad was a big trapper, and they got pictures of me at like 6 months old out on the trap line with my dad. So I kind of grew up in it. So I take some of the stuff I just think is common knowledge for granted that other people don't really know. Not that I'm smart. I just kind of grew up in hunting, and it's always been a part of my life. So
What about the recurve and the compound? When did you start? Did you always grow up shooting both of them, or did you transfer into one from the other?
well, yeah, my journey's kind of weird. When I was growing up, when I was, 12 years old enough to hunt deer, my dad always hunted with an old compound, the one with the tiny wheels. I don't even know what it was, a Martin or something. And he shot it with fingers instinctively. So that's how I started shooting. I had a compound, little compound PSE Nova or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I shot it with fingers, and that's how I shot my first deer. Is just like as if just instinctively, just like I do now. And so I've actually been more of a traditional hunter before I was a compound guy. I mean, I kind of moved when I got a little older. I got pins and stuff on my bow and went back and forth with that. But I picked up an actual. I mean, I always had a recurve. My dad always had little bear bows that we had around the house, so I shot those a bunch. But I got my first recurve when I was like 14 or 15. Struggled with it and missed a bunch of animals and ended up selling it. I had it way too heavy, because now people take it for granted the amount of knowledge that's available. It's crazy. Like when I was growing up, there was no push or any of these Aaron Snyder. There was nothing out there to tell you how to tune an arrow, to
Right.
what form to use. And that's the way I learned is I watched Fred Bear videos and Fred Eichler videos. Those are my two heroes. I watched them, and I just modeled my form and my shooting after them. And so that's how I learned. So I struggled pretty hard. But that I think everybody does when they pick it up. It's not something you just pick up and run with, but guys do have an advantage now of getting a little bit of a head start, no doubt.
Oh, 100%. It's kind of funny that you said you started watching those guys, because I remember back when I started getting into bow hunting, I was like the only person I knew at that moment that was like, bow hunting sounds like a good idea. And so everything was like rifle hunting. All my friends, none of them even, I don't even think, owned a bow. And so when I got into it, I was watching like Primos videos and just thank God I didn't, go after, they're shooting. Like there's a couple good shooters out in the Primos guys, but they're not known for their technique and all that stuff. They're known for calling and hunting on ranches and stuff. So,
right.
But I thought for sure I was going to go out and kill big bulls. I bought every call they had that they were using in the videos. And I remember one year they had big bee stinger stabilizers with the big round weight on the end. So I went out and bought that same stabilizer, and like I was just chasing what I saw, and it's just kind of funny. Like I learned kind of like you did through trial and error, and just I just failing and failing and failing and failing. It took, I think, 6 or 7 years for me to kill my first bull. Like it was just a rough time, but deer came pretty easy because the blacktails are lazy. When you can start hunting, you can get almost multiple shot opportunities a day back then. But it was just, man, the amount of information, there's almost too much information because everybody has an opinion, and this guy's going to crap on that guy and this guy's going to shit on that guy, and it's just that if you shoot this and you shoot under a FOC of this, you're a piece of shit, unethical, and I don't know, it's almost debilitating how much information's out there for somebody. So for somebody that is getting into it and somebody that maybe is wanting to learn, what helped you out along the way? What were some of the key things that you were looking for when you were going and starting off and trying to figure out what you were going to end up shooting? What kind of key information helped you along the way?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I just shot the exact setup that Fred Eichler shot. So I killed, I shot my Super 10 with, he always shot a Palmer recurve. So I bought me one of those, 54 pounds at my draw length, which is his weight. I got some 400 Easton shafts.
Yeah.
And put a Muzzy Phantom on it, and I killed my Super 10 with that setup. And that was, I never tuned an arrow. They flew good, they were close. It wasn't until I met Aaron that it was just, a happenstance deal. I ran Kafaru, kind of paid attention to him. He started paying attention to me, and then asked me to be on the podcast. And then we kind of became friends after that. And, he had all that knowledge, and I just started kind of drinking that in, and then beating other people like Brian with day 6. Mm-hmm. And I killed a lot of stuff before I got real technical. And I wouldn't even call myself technical now, but I wasn't even building my own arrows back then. I just bought them from the pro shop, had them fletched. I think I had an Arizona Easy fletch that I did do some fletching with, but I was basically just going out there and killing stuff. And that's something I want people to understand, that you don't have to put so much emphasis. I don't want people to think that I want people to go out there unprepared. What I do think I want people to understand is they put so much emphasis on knowing this or knowing that, and so they spend a lot of time. It's like, they're in their mom's basement, air quotes, trying to learn all this stuff from podcasts or online when they should just be out there, kind of like, I know I want people to use that information. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but I guess that's what I'm trying to do with my podcast and my, whatever, what I'm trying to put out there for information is that there is a few different ways to skin a cat. And I just think that, like you say, there's so much information out there that it's almost, too much. And I just want guys to realize that you could do this stuff without going and spending a ton of money or knowing everything. I mean, you want to learn, don't get me wrong, but you have to learn by doing, not by, reading about it. Like, get out there and experience stuff. Take what you learn from podcasts. I mean, like I said, use the information that's there, but don't dwell on that and let that dictate what you do. I mean, I've had people tell me they're not going hunting because they don't have, this certain piece of gear. And I'm like, that's stupid. Like, or they're going to buy this piece of gear so they don't have money to go hunting. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So that's, and I'm not berating those people. Like, I think the mindset's wrong. And that's what I want to get out there, is change your mindset. Like, you should be spending most of your time in the woods learning. And when you're not doing that, multitask. If you got a job where you can do your, listen to podcasts or whatever, like, do it then. Right. That's kind of what I'm trying to get out there.
Yeah, for about the last year, maybe a year and a half, I've really kind of turned the corner, and I've talked about this on with the bro guys quite a few times. Is, the information's there, the woodsmanship isn't, and for I'm kind of being introspective on myself. I'm like, if gear could kill animals, I'd never eat a tag, and I'd be the deadliest guy on the planet, man, because I've got all the little gadgets, I've got a nice bow, I've got the boot, I've got all the little gadgets and stuff, and I'm just as successful today, or maybe even slightly less successful today than I was. Well, definitely more successful in the elk, but than I was when I started. And I barely bought a rangefinder, and that's when I killed my first buck. It's because I had a freaking rangefinder, because I just couldn't figure out the ranges on stuff, and so, but I had Muzzy Hunter grain 400 or 340 spine axis, or Beeman, just going out with whatever I could afford at the time. I had a cheap Cobra sight. I just cheap. I had, my first bow was a Carroll Intruder 2 PSE, like just an old bow. It's the one my dad used back in the day when he bow hunted. So he bought me that one, and it just, I was killing just as much back then almost as I was today without a tenth of the gear. And it just, man, I feel like if gear could kill animals, there would be nothing left right now. But right now, what I'm totally echoing you is woodsmanship's what's lacking for sure. And going out and just shooting some arrows at the range, or going out and setting up a dull sheep at an incline, because you're probably not going to be shooting on flat ground on your hunt. So,
shooting off my roof.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've been talking about that for a while. And it's funny, I say that, but I am totally curious on what your Aero setup is, just because
Sure.
I am a nerd there. But
yeah, no, I've gotten to be a geek on that stuff. Like I said, once I dove down that rabbit hole, it was, and like I said, I'm lucky because, I had Aaron to teach me, and then now, with Brian.
Once you talk to Brian, it's game over. That guy knows too much.
Yeah, he's very smart. And I hope he doesn't listen to this, because he'll give me shit for saying he's smart. So,
Well, I've learned a
with
ton
the,
from that guy, but yeah.
Brian has. So I'm running day six, arrows, broadheads, and it's basically exactly what I've always ran. Pretty much same weight. It's maybe a shade heavier than what I was running before, but it's pretty darn close. So I'm getting the same trajectory out of my bow. That's real important to me. As an instinctive guy, I've shot the same way for so long. But yeah, I'm running a day six 350. 50 grain outsert, 200 grain Evo XL, which that broadhead is like the pinnacle of broadheads for me because when I started, my dad told me that the only broadhead that you use is a Bear Razorhead. That was the only broadhead allowed to be used because it's the only one that killed stuff. And then I went from that to a Muzzy Phantom, and then I've tried other ones and I like other ones, but um, the two blade with a bleeder is just hard to beat. And I mean, a Phantom, I had a lot of success with them, but they're junk. Like they're not that sharp. They're not. They're not all true and spin good. I mean, for the money, they're probably pretty decent, but I don't even know if they make the Phantom anymore, to be honest with you.
It's been a while since I've even seen a picture of or an ad for them, so I would be
Yeah,
shocked if they do. But
I don't know, but that whole double bevel, um, bigger blade, and then bleeder blade. That's kind of always been what I've shot, and and I mean, people are the that broadhead. It doesn't rust. It's tough as nails. I've shot it into cement block walls. You can snap the blade off. The tips will come off, sometimes snap off, but the ferrule is still good, and you can put a new blade in.
right,
What people don't understand is it is expensive to get into those broadheads, but you spend less because once you have the ferrules, as long as you don't lose it, you can resharpen them pretty easily, and then you can put new blades in them, and you could do that in the field, which is phenomenal because I hate sharpening shit,
same here.
especially in the field. So, yeah, I mean that's my setup. Shooting trad vanes on the back end, and I've shot that same setup for the last couple of years now, and I don't see me changing. Like I'm not gonna tinker with it, so it's working.
Yeah, I've been shooting the day six for I think this will 3 years now already. Man, have I known Brian that long? It's got to be 2 years. This will be the third year if I stay with him. I told him originally, he's like, man, I'll shoot your stuff for 1 year, and then I just got to keep changing and to keep trying new products because that's basically what I do. And I've had a pretty hard time leaving because I like his setup so much. I'm shooting it longer than I should be, for the sake of testing out new gear, but. It's just, I mean, him and I kind of hit it off when we did a first podcast together, and then we talked, I don't know, for two or 3 hours. I don't know how long it was, but, and then I told him, like, I have an idea for a broadhead, and I told him kind of like what my brainchild was, like if somebody could come out with this head right here, and then he's like, I'm going to send you a picture, and then he's like, here's a prototype, and it was like 99% what I described, and then since that, him and I have kind of just kind of hit it off, and just, we were on the same brainwave the whole time. I was like, man, this guy, and I felt like I was on the right track when he was telling me, like, yeah, confirming what I was saying the whole time. I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely. And the guy's taught me a ton, and he's got a heck of a product too. And another thing I like about Brian, it sounds like a sales pitch about Brian this whole podcast, but is I was asking him about single bevels and all this other stuff because I've been testing out single bevels and. And I'm like, man, I think if you came out with a model, you'd kill it. And he's like, not doing it. What I got's perfect. Like, why would I do that? He's like, yeah, I could probably make a ton of money on it, but why? Like, he just sticks to his guns. That's what I like about him. But
Yeah, well, and that's the main thing I'm opposite. Like I kind of like new gear, but once I find something that works, like that's what I'm gonna, I mean, I've had, people come out with something new and then they send it to you or want you to test it or whatever, and I'll do that. But I mean, I'm not, on arrows and broadheads, I'm pretty well stuck.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're coming out with some wide bleeders that are freaking sweet. I've been testing those, and that, I don't know, it adds a blood trail. I mean, I hate to say that, but I've had some experiences with it, and some other guys I know that kill a lot of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's I think that guys like you or Aaron that kind of do it to put information out there to test. I think a lot of people look at that and want to emulate that, and then they're constantly switching their setup, and they're not doing it for testing. They say that, but they're not really testing anything to put information out there for people. They're just constantly losing their confidence in what they're doing.
Oh.
In my opinion, you know what I mean? Like when you're, for me anyway, I don't usually talk about something that I've tried. I mean, I'll like mention it, but I won't usually talk about something until I've got about, 6 months in it at minimum, and 10 or 12 animals under its belt, if it's a bow or an arrow or whatever, some hunts that prove that I'm not just saying something. And I think a lot of guys, and I'm not talking about you because that's what you do. You're putting content out there by testing stuff. But I think a lot of guys, I just see, I'm shooting this arrow, then all of a sudden they're shooting that arrow, and then they're changing weights and they're constantly messing with stuff. And it's because they don't have the experience. They're just kind of following along with guys like you. And I think they're just destroying their confidence, like, or not ever building confidence in any certain thing. Right. And I've been there, like I've done it. I've been that guy. And so that's one thing I want people to kind of think about is, if you find, if you get somebody reputable that's telling you something's good and you put it to the test and it's good, stop messing with it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of a rabbit hole I went down there, but it is something that I feel like I see a lot on social media and stuff. And I'm just like, what was wrong with the last thing? Well, I wanted to test this. I wanted to change that. And I'm like, and especially with a stick bow, if you're constantly changing your trajectory, even if you're a point on shooter, that just destroys you because, I don't know. And even with a compound, your pin gap, it's not as important, but when you got those different distances that, you're in between distances, your holds are going to be a little different. So I just think guys would be better off if they would just get high quality stuff, the highest quality you can get, and then stay with it, unless, I mean, I'm the same way. I like to get new gear, but if you find something that's really working, that's confidence in the field is like the pinnacle of success. That's when you will be successful.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head there, and I've been absolutely guilty because I'm a gear guy and I try and put out a lot of content, but honestly, I'm getting to the point where it's like, man, there's so many guys that are doing it. I kind of just want to settle down and just shoot something, and just that's what I shoot. I'm kind of just falling into that lane, and just I want to help people be better hunters, not be better gear finders. Like I don't know.
Sure.
I've just been struggling with that a lot, and I'm known for the bow reviews and all that. I say crap, but I'm known for all that stuff, and it just I feel like that isn't helping people find success. I feel like that's helping people purchase things, and that doesn't necessarily translate. And I'm sure the bow companies love it, and and broadhead manufacturers and aero companies love it and stabilizer companies love it. But I don't know. I kind of want to move the needle in a different way. And honestly, like, I don't know. I've been struggling with that a lot lately, and just trying to figure out, what lane, because that's been my lane for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and that's just like, I don't know if I want to keep doing that, because it kind of gets old. Like, it's just almost like a Billy Mays of the outdoor industry,
Right.
So
Yeah. No, I hear you, and that's the lane that I try to stay away from. I am super lucky. I have a lot of awesome companies that I've organically met, through Aaron or through Brian or whoever, or they, notice me and they ask me if I'll use some stuff, because I may already be using it usually.
mm-hmm.
And people see me out there hunting and they will ask me about something. I'm not out there saying, doing gear reviews. I will give people advice on the gear that I'm using, no doubt. But like you said, my main goal with anything that I'm doing is to get, to just show people that you can go hunting. Like, I think that a lot of what's happening now is more about, cool gadgets, and you got to have the latest and greatest and be the best shot, and a little less about going actually hunting. And I think guys think it's impossible to, like I said, I'm just an average guy. I own my own business, so I do have extra time that I can take off, but I have to earn that. That's the whole point of that podcast. I have to earn that time because I have to take care of my family. So I still have to work a job, and I just have to put in more hours at certain times so that I can go hunting. But I know a lot of people that can do that even within their career. Like, I've got buddies that get comp time through working extra hours or whatever. I mean, there's a way to go hunting. And I think some people just like the idea of hunting more than they actually like hunting. So
Right.
I just feel like I want to push things back the other way. I want to get people to stop buying a new bow every year and go elk hunting every year, or whatever. Like, if that's what they want to do. I mean, if some people just want to own cool stuff, and that's cool too. I like to own cool stuff too. I'm lucky to get cool stuff and get to go hunting now. But when I first started, it wasn't that way. And no, it's well, I just hope that's what people gain from what I'm trying to put out there, is just, you can do things that you didn't think you could.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like an inspirational, like listen to me and you'll find out the secret. Like, that's not it. There is no secret. There is absolutely no, the only secret is hard work.
As I say,
and that's a cliche too, but it's a cliche because it's true.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hear Mayweather say that all the time,
Yeah.
hard work, and it's just, I feel like that's nothing new. People trying to find the shortcut is literally nothing new, and putting in the hard work that's always been the key for everything that I've seen done, whatever industry, hobby, hunt, whatever it may be. It always comes down to those two words, and it just it's always, how do we circumvent that? How do we get around that? How do we shortcut that? And I know I just, to kind of wrap it back around to the gear reviews and stuff, I feel like that's what I've been pushing the needle towards, is trying to circumvent the hard work. If I can shoot 10, 20 yards farther, I don't have to work as hard to get that animal, I don't know. And I'm to the point in my life where I want to get those better experiences out of a hunt than it is. It's not about a grip and grin for me. It used to be back when I was trying to find success with a bow, man, it was like I just want to kill something, and I had bloodlust, and it was just like I gotta find success. That's what it was about. I mean, straight up. That's probably not PC, but it just I had to put something on the ground every year. Like, didn't care how big it was. I wanted to find success. I wanted to eat it that night, and I wanted to, like it was just I had to kill something, and then gradually over time, now it's like, I busted a giant buck with a rifle one time, and it's because I could have shot him at 450 all day long. I just got done the day before that shooting 800 with a rifle, and obviously, and I told my buddy, I'm like, I think we can get to 300, or 350, and then he's for sure dead. Like, and then I get 20 more yards, and it was wide ass open. There's no getting closer. And there's a 170, 180 inch buck, biggest buck of my life. I'm like, oh, there he goes. I'm like, why didn't I just shoot him basically from the hood? But I keep finding myself trying to get closer and closer, and that's why I keep kind of romanticizing the trad bow world. Is like, man, when Aaron put it like this a while ago, I think it was him. He's like, the way that rifle hunters look at bow hunters and that experience is like that whole dynamic and that whole experience and how big of a difference that is like compound to trad. It's like you're going to get so much more out of a trad experience than you would a compound experience. And I'm like, I loved when I transitioned from rifle to bow, and if I can do that again, to go into a trad and get that same feeling again, and just that sense of like accomplishment and just really trying, I think that in alone would be worth itself.
I like to be close, and I always have. That's why I hunt with a stick bow. I actually do it. That you brought up earlier when we were just talking about that episode I did about the stick bow or not stick bow. And really what I was trying to get across is there's so many guys like you that want to come over or have come over because of Snyder. And they romanticize the stick bow. And it is an amazing thing. And I've kind of not forgotten how hard it was, but it's not as fresh in my memory because it was 20 years ago when I started with it, or longer. I don't know. It's been about 20 years. And, I think if you're going to pick up a stick bow, like, I think guys just think they have to just do what Aaron did and just give up the compound. And that's not even close to true. I don't know. I guess for me, I look at a stick bow as it is. I don't use it because, honestly, I probably use it because Fred Bear did. And when I was young, I mean, I had a little Fred Bear hat, and I wanted to be him. And then I gradually started watching Fred Eichler when I was like 12 or whatever, and started fantasizing about, being him and watching him go all over the place. So I started hunting with one and struggling. And there was a time when I had a stick bow and a compound in my truck, and I'm out antelope hunting, and I can't talk myself into grabbing the compound. And I'm out there stalking around, and I have never killed one. I'm young. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And, but there's something about the stick bow that is, I just never got what these new guys have. I never learned how to shoot a compound. If you and I shot at 40 yards with a compound, you'd be like, holy crap. Like, you're not that, like, I'm a beginner almost. Like, I'm not a good shot with a compound. I've never gotten to that elite level where I've killed a bunch of stuff with a compound. And then I moved over. So I'm a little different than a lot of these guys that are coming over from the compound that kind of want the next challenge. I don't know. I guess I just, I think guys are finding success, and I don't really even know where I was going with that, but for the most part, I don't think people should be afraid to come over, but I also don't think people should be afraid to ease over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like guys are constantly asking me like, hey, what's a good starter bow, or what's, this or that. Like, buy a cheap used bow, shoot it in the backyard. I guarantee you, after you start, hitting the target, you're going to find yourself wanting to shoot that bow more than your compound, because it's going to be more fun, more challenging.
Right. 100%.
Then you're going to pick it up and you're going to go in the woods and you're going to want to break it over your knee because, I'm not saying you won't have success right away, but it's gonna come at a higher cost and a little bit of luck. So don't be afraid to go back, grab that compound and shoot a few animals. I just don't want people to get discouraged. They grab a stick bow and they want to go all in like Aaron or whoever, and then it just doesn't work out. And then they just sell it and go back. Like you were saying, there's some buddies that have jumped in and then jumped right out. And it's definitely worth trying, but keep your, I don't know. I guess some people have to kind of go all in, but it just depends on what you want out of it. Like you were saying about wanting to get an animal. You used to be more bloodlust. Mm-hmm. I'm still that guy. Like I still got a pretty good bloodlust. And it's not. I get people messaging me. I've had a couple guys that I wanted to just strangle, like literally drive 15 hours and go strangle them, because they'll say something about me doing, got to get it kill for Instagram.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to have a picture of, it's all about the kill so I can get recognition. And I'm like, I've been doing this shit since before I even had an Instagram, before anybody knew who I was. This is who I have always been. At this point, people, I'm just posting I'm just me. Like, I'm just putting who I am out there, and someday it may all cease to exist. Like, I'm going to say something on a podcast that makes somebody mad or right. whatever, and then nobody will want to listen to me anymore or whatever. And at that point, I'll still be out there doing the same thing. I just won't have to take as many damn pictures.
I know, man. I honestly, like, there was one year where I think I just left Instagram. I was like, I am not hunting for Instagram. Like, I found myself taking photos of my stupid bow or my this or that. I'm like, I would fucking never do this if I had an Instagram. Like, I wouldn't take a picture of that and share it with anybody if I didn't have an Instagram. And I'm like, I'm doing this instead of focusing on finding a deer right now. It's just so stupid. Like, and I just kind of I was straight up negative about just social media and posting, and I just there's a happy medium for me, and sharing every little aspect and trying to find, that bow hiking picture. I hate it. But
yeah, that's why, like, when I'm out hunting, I don't, like, you'll rarely see, I take cool pictures. Like, if I see something cool, but I'm not into photography. I'm not into filming. I had a buddy ask me today if I was going to film any of my stuff this year, because I got some pretty awesome hunts coming up. And I'm like, I don't want to, but Brian might send a guy with me on a few hunts, but, I'm all about, it sounds bad, but I'm about that moment, not the kill. I'm about that adrenaline rush and being in that close and beating that animal and knowing that I achieved a goal, because I'm a very goal-oriented person. If there's something that is very hard for me to do, whether it be a job or a certain animal or a way of hunting, mm-hmm. and I achieve the goal, which for me is not just being out in the woods. And I enjoy being out there. I love doing it. I love shooting my bow. I love all that stuff. But the goal for me is to get an animal, to fill the tag. So that's a big part of it. you set that goal. Once you get close, because depending on what the situation is, I mean, whether it's a doe or a moose, it doesn't matter. My heart goes through the roof. And that's because I'm in close, that's where I like to be. I like to be so close. And that's what it's all about for me. And once I put my hands on an animal, obviously I've always taken pictures of them. I have like 13 albums just full of pictures. And Instagram is just kind of taken that's place where I posted, but it doesn't change because I'm on social media. Social media is a means to an end. It gives me, it benefits me, no doubt. I've gotten to where I get some free stuff, and honestly, I found a lot of hunting opportunity through Instagram. People have invited me hunting, shared spots. Shared units. I mean, it's a good networking thing.
Oh yeah.
It has its benefits, no doubt. It has its downfalls too. But you shut me, like I get mad and shut Instagram off tomorrow, I'm going to murder the same amount of animals this year. Just nobody's going to know about it. That's just the way it is. Right. And I don't want to be that. Don't take that as cocky. What I'm saying is I set a goal and I go after it as hard as I can. And that's, I just want people to realize that I am not all about Instagram. I'm not trying to be an influencer. It's organically, you're friends with Aaron Snyder and people start following you. That's kind of how it worked for me.
Right.
I mean, and then, some people like what my message is, which is just kind of the normal guy. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I've gotten offered a lot of hunts, but there's only been 2 guys in the years I've been doing this that actually followed through with it. So I'm glad that you're getting people to actually follow through with giving you hunts.
Well, and
there's a lot of guys that want to jerk you off online, I think, that want to be a favor.
Well, you got to be careful too. Like
right.
I don't go on every hunt that everybody offers, but I can definitely sniff out, I've met some people, cool people just through networking on Instagram or whatever. My buddy Clay Epperson down in Texas, awesome dude. There's a few really good friends that I've met just through that, and we hunt together. But I mean, it's I don't know. I kind of look at Instagram. I don't do anything for that. Like I wouldn't take as many stupid pictures throughout the day of like mundane things like working. And it's hard for me to post pictures of working because I don't like doing it. Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm trying to get out there. Like, hey, I'm working. This is my life. Like I'm out here working. I get up, I work out. And that's the whole earn your hunt thing. Like, I want people to realize that earn your hunt, it all kind of, people sometimes think it's just a workout thing. Like it's not a workout thing. I don't want people, it's definitely part of it, but the whole it's a all encompassing lifestyle. You have to working out is just a part of it. You have to put in the time at work. You got to put in the time at home. Mm-hmm. So that when you're on the mountain or you're away, because I'm away a lot. People ask me, I just did a podcast with my wife. It's like the most popular podcast I've done. I had obviously she's more interesting than me because it has way more listens than all my other ones that are just me. Mm-hmm. And, or a few more anyway. But people ask me like how she puts up with it. And I'm like, well, we have been doing this for this long, this way. And I try to earn it so that when I'm gone, she's working hard. She's a hard worker too. So she puts in the extra time when I'm gone with the kids. Mm-hmm. And then I don't feel guilty when I'm on the mountain. I think that's like homesickness is legit. Probably one of the biggest things that drives people home.
Yeah.
Early, like 100%. guys are in shape. Like it's easy to get in shape nowadays. Not easy. I shouldn't say that because I hated every minute of what I did. But it once you're in that rhythm, and it's kind of cool watching. You get motivation from the Cam Hayneses and Aaron Snyders and all the guys that are doing all the workout stuff. You get it's easy to be in shape, but it's pretty easy to say, oh man, I miss my kids and I haven't talked to my kids. My daughter was crying when I talked to her, and that makes you want to leave. Same with work. If you leave town and you don't got your shit together at work,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to dwell on that. You're going to like, oh man, I got to send this email. I got to get back to service or whatever, I mean, but if you crush every minute up until you leave, then you're still going to have those feelings, but they're easier to push down with, hey, I earned it. That's
Right.
People make fun of the earn your fall, earn your hunt thing or whatever. I've had guys, give me a hard time about it. I don't really care because it's a hashtag, and I guess those are gay. You can delete that if you need to, but like that's it. The only reason for it is to be able to follow other guys that are doing it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy's working hard and killing it with the family. I mean, those are the messages that I love is when a guy's I love the workout ones where guys are like earn your fall or earn your hunt. But the ones that really make me happy is when a guy's like 15-hour day. Now I'm, taking the kids on vacation. We're leaving tonight for vacation, little mini vacation or something like that. Like I've had messages like that. And I'm like, that's cool. Like you're out there living a normal life, crushing it. And I
Right.
think, yeah.
Well, I think guys and kind of like I alluded to earlier, I think guys, especially a lot of my buddies, they're really hard physical labor jobs. I've got buddies that work on the railroad. I've got buddies that are loggers. I've got buddies that work in mills or work out in the woods doing construction, out in the forest road construction. And those guys are away from their families, some of them a week at a time or, a long time. And it's just like, man, that's really tough on them. And then seeing them still come home and then being able to go hunting and stuff. I don't know. Those guys put in a lot more hours than I do. And that's a really common thing. And seeing somebody that, is finding success and is doing all the hunts and going on a Dall sheep hunt that is just like them, I think makes them believe that they can do that as well. It's caught maybe motivation or inspiration, but I think it's just belief. And I know, like, watching Aaron, I'm like, how the hell does he go hunting? And then I listened to the podcast with him a while ago where he's like, well, I built my life around that. Like I have the perfect job designed to let me go do what I want to do when I want to do it. And then kind of like you can put in more hours, you can get your shit right before you go, and you hunt, 150 days a year or more. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, but you work for it. You're not one of these guys that's, a trust fund baby that's going out and just, I'm going on this hunt or that hunt, and I just got my Grand Slam. I'm like, well, that takes money, lots of money, but it's really relatable. And I would be curious to hear, how do you prepare for 150 days in the field? Because I spend 60 or 7. I don't know. I mean, what do you count as a day? Is that where you can come home? Or are you just out?
Well, I count I mean, I don't actually count. So it could be more, it could be less. A lot of my stuff, like August and September, like this year, I'll be gone pretty much the entire month of August and September. Like I'll be in Alaska this year for three weeks minimum, probably. And then I'll be back for probably 3 or 4 days. Then I'll head out to Nevada for a week, be back for a couple days, then head out to Wyoming or Colorado, and then I'll be back for a few days. Then I'll be off to hopefully Canada
Right on.
if they open the damn border. But it is, after that, then it's, hunting at home. I do a lot in South Dakota. Um, and I mean, it's gotten a lot better on some of these hunts, like in South Dakota. I'll run up there to my buddy's place and hunt, 2 or 3 days, and then bust butt home and get back to work or do whatever I need to do, and then go back if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
I set up a lot of my stuff. So I mean, when I say 150 days in the field, I don't count them. I just if I'm at home, there's a lot of afternoons. Like I'll go to work in November and work till 3 o'clock, and then I'll run out and jump in a stand for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because that's where I live. It's easy enough to do that. So,
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, because there's times where, spring bear season, here's 2 months, and I'll probably hunt 30, 35 days of that. And I didn't hunt that this year, but last year I definitely hunted enough. And then, starting late August all the way into towards December, at least November, I'm hunting most of those days, just out my last 2 bulls I've killed are relatively close to my house. I won't say how close, but they're relatively close to my house. And, I can go out every evening and go hunting after work every evening. No problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be off, 4 o'clock easy and go out and go find a bull at 5, and I have enough time to kill them. And so, I mean, having the right job, if you're working like night shift and stuff, man, I don't know how you'd be able to pull that off, because you got to sleep sometime. So,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that around here with all the mills we have. I'm obviously Oregon.
Yeah.
Mostly everybody around here is a logger or works in a mill. So,
well, and I got a buddy, one of my best friends. We've been friends since we were, old enough to walk. His name's Levi. He lives in Arizona. I always go out there and hunt with him. I killed a real nice buck with him this year. But he is a cop and he works nights. And I'm telling you what, that dude, same thing. Like he will literally not sleep. Like he will work all night, and then he will drive to where, maybe spend an hour in the truck, and then he'll get up and go hunting. And it's 100% about, and he's a single guy. I mean, he's got a girlfriend, but he doesn't have kids. He's still in that realm, but where there's a will, there's a way. And I think a lot of it is time management, and just like, if you say like, this week I'm working night shifts, but man, I want to hunt, just, you can sleep next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a way to do it. And if you want to do it bad enough, I'm not saying like kill yourself by not getting any sleep, but you can definitely sleep in the middle of the day. Like if you're elk hunting, I don't know what it's like out there, but middle of the day kind of sucks sometimes. So,
oh yeah,
sleep on the mountain and then hunt the afternoon and get your butt back to work, or whatever. It's I know there's a lot of jobs out there that don't allow for time. I think honestly, there's less jobs and more women. I hate saying that, but honestly, the person that you marry dictates your life big time. Obviously, I mean, that's a pretty general statement,
right?
But I think I've had a lot of younger guys hit me up and talk about like, I want to get married, but or whatever. And I'm just like, they're like, how do you get your wife to let you do all that? And I said, I don't get her to let me do anything.
That's all done before you get married.
Exactly.
Picking the right one.
Exactly. That is 100%, and there's good women out there that aren't, it's not their fault. Like, I'm not, wants me around, no doubt. I mean, she needs help, and she loves me and I love her and I want to be around. But the fact that, some guys out there working, 410s or whatever, and he's logging, like you say, and then he comes home on a Friday, and all he wants to do is go hunting, but she hasn't seen him, the kids haven't seen him, and they want him to be there all weekend. Well, that guy is got he really needs to change something if he wants to do it differently. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Everybody, I don't want anybody to want to just, I don't think my life is for everybody. And I've said that a million times, like, it's not for everybody. It's not, but there are certain people out there that don't think it's possible. And I just want to show them that it is for just a normal guy. Like you brought up Aaron earlier and how he built his life. And he did what I used to do, or that he used to do what I do now, work a normal job. But when people look at him now and all his hunting and all he's doing, that, like you say, it's not overly relatable. Like that's the dream, right? That's the get to hunt for a living, basically, and have a cool job where you, just create content and people pay you to do it. But what I'm trying to do is just show people that you can hunt like those guys, but you could be a normal guy. You can have a job. You can have a family. You can figure out a way to do it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, no, I think that's all really important information. And if you're getting guys asking you, I haven't got those questions. That's funny that people, I guess not funny, but interesting that people are coming to you saying, I want to get married, but how do I make it work, or something like that? And mine is shocked if I come home early from a hunt. We don't have any kids. It's just 3 dogs, as you saw, probably a couple of them running around back here, but we don't have any kids. And I dated her for 6 years before we proposed. She knew what she was getting into, and I knew what I was getting into, and the expectations and all that stuff. And honestly, if someone's just looking at going out and getting married and they want to maintain the same lifestyle, first of all, it's probably not going to happen. You're going to have to make sacrifices somewhere along the way. But yeah, you better do the work before you put the ring on the finger. I mean, know what you're getting into.
The biggest thing is, what that woman, or that man for that matter. I mean, if you're a girl listening to this, I don't know. Deep down what the expectation from that other person is. I mean, like you say, the thing is, you said you need to make sacrifices, and you definitely do. But you know what those sacrifices usually are? Sleep. Your time. Like, there is, for me, there is nothing else. It is family, hunting, work. I do nothing else. I mean, we'll go do fun stuff for the family. But I have no other hobbies. Like, I'm not into cars. I'm not into golf. I'm not into sports. I don't even watch sports. Like, everything I do is factored around hunting. And like Aaron, I built my life that way, and didn't do it necessarily on purpose. Like, there are a lot of decisions that were made. I hit a crossroads and I went the right direction. Thankfully, there's a couple women that I could have married that I definitely am glad I didn't marry, because I would not be sitting here talking to you. And that's just, it is so weird, the questions and the things that I get. I actually really enjoy it. I get business questions. I've had people tell me that they started a business because of me.
Really?
They want advice on starting a business. Huh. And I'm no guru. Like, I am not, my accountant would tell you I am a moron. Like, I do not understand business. I didn't go to school for it. I just knew what I wanted. What I wanted was to hunt as much as I possibly could. And every time I hit a crossroads, I tried to go in the direction that led me down that path. And got lucky a few times. My wife is one of those things. She is amazing. People tell me all the time that there's no way she's going to put up with me as long. I mean, like, I think we're going on like 9 years now, totally being together. And, like, that is a big factor. And I just don't think people, like, even down to, I've talked about this before, down to having kids. We had our kids. It was planned. Like I said, if we cannot have kids in the fall, I said,
yep.
We literally had, one of them was born end of January. One of them was born first part of March. Like,
smart.
Not on accident. Like, this is when it's going to happen. It needs to be in that January, March, the one is born end of February, not January. There's nothing going on because January I've got Arizona. I usually go to Arizona. It sounds like a real selfish way to live, but it's really not, because you can make decisions. And I mean, sometimes stuff happens and you gotta react to it, no doubt. But I think that if you really try hard to plan and just do the best you can at following up on that plan and work hard towards that plan, for the most part, it ends up what you want, or even better than you thought.
Right. No,
if any of that makes sense. I mean,
I 100% agree. And I don't know if anybody's getting anything out of this conversation or not, but yeah. If someone is thinking about this stuff, I mean, the advice that you're giving is definitely, I can't agree with it more. I mean, everything's spot on, man.
Yeah, it's just, like you say, I mean, whether people are listening, your audience, it may not resonate with some guys, but there's just not anybody out there talking about it.
Right.
Like, everybody's talking about, there's a million videos, podcasts, everything about shooting a bow, shooting a gun, shooting any weapon. Every animal out there has an expert or 200,000 experts telling you how to stock them, how to call them, how to do all this stuff. There's a million people out there talking about, there's a lot of resources on tags and this and that. There's not too many people talking about everything else, everything else that leads up to going hunting. And if you want to just hunt 1 week a year, you can pull that off. Like, everybody can pull that off. But if you want to hunt a lot, there is a lot more that goes into it. You know what I'm saying? So that's 100%. The whole point of what I'm trying to get out there is like all the other stuff. Like, the gear is cool. You've got to learn how to be a hunter. You've got, like, that is just common sense, and getting out there will teach you that, and following all of this information that's out there and weeding through it, and then take it and use it. Because I think a lot of people don't take it and use it. They take it and they fantasize about it, but they don't use it. Like I want people to work hard and then go hunting. Like, that's the whole point of everything I do is, and there's so much to that. There's so many other little things to that it's just, I think it's, well, and honestly, to me, that's always just been it's common sense. You just do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like people kind of get lazy. If they don't, they get a little, like you say, they want to do the easiest way, the easy way. And if you do it the easy way, no matter what you're doing, you're gonna not feel accomplished.
Right.
So,
If there was a
yeah,
way where I was just thinking about this listening, like if there was a way where people had to put in X amount of work to post on Instagram about the thing that they're doing, there'd be a lot less
right.
posts.
There would be, man.
Like, yeah, if you
It's,
want to give a shooting tip, you need to spend 1,000 hours shooting your bow before you can give that shooting tip, like, or 1,000 arrows or whatever. And that honestly, when I'm grinding with my bow, 1,000 arrows is 1 week worth of shooting or less. Like
right.
it's just, I mean, with a recurve, even more so, man. You can send a lot more arrows with a recurve than you can a compound, and it's more fun. Honestly, I've shot recurves and compounds, and trad's definitely more fun to me, and it's way more rewarding when you actually hit what you're shooting at. But if it was that mentality where you have to do the work or you have to, like you said, use a product for 6 months before you come out with a review, there'd be a lot less content, but it would be better content for sure.
Better content. Yeah, no doubt. That is for sure. That's funny. That they should uh, they should do something like that.
That would be cool. I wouldn't mind. I sure as heck wouldn't
Yeah.
mind. But so I kind of want to switch gears here. We're hour and 15 into this thing, and I want to wrap it up here shortly for you. If you had to give some advice to somebody that's wanting to go out and maybe they're just an average guy, or just looking at getting into it, what would be some things that you would tell them to focus on to go out and maybe find success for the first time, or if they're just trying to get better and they haven't had a lot of success? What are some things that they should focus on as far as woodsmanship skills and hunting skills that you believe would transfer into success the most?
Man, it all comes back to that. Just get out there, get the experience. Like I could sit here and tell you some of my experiences that would, you're like I said, I could tell you, this or that happened to me, or you need to learn how to build fires, or you need to, but building fires it may not translate to what you want to do. So what I think a lot of people are doing is, I say this about everything, and it was when I was younger, dude. I was like, at one point in my life, I was damn near 270 pounds.
Really?
Like, yeah, yeah. No, I was huge, and I was lazy. I still worked a ton. Don't get me wrong, and I still hunted, still trapped a bunch. Ate terribly, didn't work out. And actually, elk hunting is why I ended up losing. I was a little skinnier than I am now, which I was like 185 after I lost a ton of weight. But then I gained it all. I gained a lot of it back. But when I was young, man, I would seriously sit in the house and think about like 7 different things that I wanted to go do. I wanted to go scouting. I needed to start working out. I needed to shoot my bow. I needed to do this or that. And I would literally dwell over those few things all day and not do one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest thing is I just tell people, even if you don't know what to do, just go do something. Even if it's not even productive, even if all you're doing is wandering around the woods. Like some of the best times I ever had is when I thought, I'm not going to kill anything. I don't really think that way anymore, but when I was younger and didn't have much for success, like I would go out there and I'm like, it's going to be like last time. It's going to be just like last time. I'm not going to see anything. Why am I even out here? I'm just wasting time. And so that would creep in, and I would sit and think, should I even go hunting today? Now my best advice is just go, because every time that's what I just had to start doing back when I was younger, is I just had to say, just go. And every time I did, I not necessarily killed something, but I always had some experience that was like, God, I'm glad I came out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I always learned something. And I think that is the best advice I could tell somebody is if you're sitting there trying to figure out what you should do because you don't know, because you don't have the experience, like that is right then when you think that, you should just just randomly pick something. I'm going scouting today. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just going to drive out there and start walking around, like literally just go do something. And you'll be surprised at how much you learn from doing that constantly. And especially when you're young and you don't have a family or ties, like go camping a ton, spend a ton of time in the woods, learning stuff, stay out of the bar because you waste a lot of time
and money
there. But that's the biggest piece of advice I can give somebody that's trying to figure things out is if you want to be successful, go as often as, even if it's an hour, you got an hour. Like if you got an hour of daylight and you're like, man, by the time I get out there, it's not even worth it. Doesn't matter. You got an hour, just go. Like seriously, that's right. I'm sure other people have given that advice. It sounds almost cliche, but that is legitimately, I wish somebody would have smacked me in the face when I was younger and just told me, whatever, I constantly thought, man, I need to start working out. How many people think that? Literally, how many people think that every single day and then don't do anything? Most everybody, me included.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get started, but it's really not that hard because if you just go do something, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just pick something little and do it for a while and then up it and then up it.
Right.
It's so simple, but it's so hard to do. You just got to tell your mind, like, just go do it. It's
100%. No, I've gone to the gym. I've gone to the gym literally, and I told the girl, she's like, oh, what are you working out today? And I'm like, honestly, I don't want to be here. I'm working out my mental muscle. I'm working out the habit muscle because I'm just here to swing a few weights around, and then I'm getting the hell out of here. I might be here for 20 minutes, and I'm done, and I might not even go that hard. And it just, the feeling that you get, you still get that same feeling when you're leaving the gym. Like, I'm leaving the gym. I came. I did it. Like, I may not have put in a full workout, or I may not, have gone as hard as I should have, but I overcame sitting on the couch. And that's, for me, honestly, that's 90% of the battle is just getting into the gym sometimes. And I think that maybe that's everybody. I don't know. But there's been probably 5 or 6 times this year where I've just gone for 10, 15 minutes, did maybe biceps or shoulders for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm out of there and I'm done. But I'm tired as hell, and I went to the gym that day, and I can check that box.
Yep.
It's just I feel like if more people had that mentality that you have, that if you don't like basically as soon as you feel like you don't want to go do something, just go do it. Like, don't even give yourself a chance to. And I've had a lot of really successful people tell me pretty much that exact thing verbatim. Like, Garrett, as soon as you feel like not putting in the work, just go do it. I'm like, okay. And it's kind of funny how successful people keep echoing successful people. It's hard work. It's that same thing you talked about earlier. It's the hard work and putting in the ethic or the work and just having the work ethic.
Yeah, 100%, man.
But well, is there anything that you want to leave? We're about an hour and 22 into it, and I think we've covered a lot. It was actually an area that I didn't plan on hitting that hard, and it just made it to me. It made a good podcast, and I think that it kind of just. Like you said, it's not the sexy part of podcasting, but it's something that's so relatable and so underspoken that it needs to be talked about more. And I think we definitely hit it pretty good today. Yeah,
man. Like I said, everything I do is there. I'm not in it for I don't care. Like, the people that need to hear it will hear it. The people that were looking for that sexy podcast about gear, okay, they can
find that
and listen to they can listen to your next one, man. Like, I'm all about I'm just trying to tell the younger me, because I wasted a lot of time when I was younger, that I could have been doing some cool stuff. And I just wish somebody would have, I don't want people to emulate me. I just want people to say, well, that dumbass can do it, I can do it. Like, that's literally all I want. I want people to say, if he can do it, I can do it. And they may excel way past what I'm doing. And that's awesome. And if I can inspire someone, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, to do something like that, that's what I want to do. So yeah, if people don't like the podcast, then you can send them my way and tell them to. I'll talk gear with them if they want. I love gear, but I just think that people need to start building a lifestyle more than their gear list.
Well, yeah, and I think we could definitely, if you want to have you back on, and definitely hit more of the hunting aspect and in the gear. Yeah. But I think this was kind of just a natural progression of where the conversation went, and and my goal was to, and not that you need introduced to anybody by any means, but my goal is, like, I really like what you do. I think there needs to be more guys like you with a bigger microphone and a bigger funnel and more followers, and you probably have more than I do, but I just want my audience to make sure I want them to know who you are and to follow you, and because I just wish there was more guys like out there like you putting in the work and finding success, and just I really, really do appreciate your platform and what you do, straight up.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's I enjoy hearing that, and it's been cool to hear guys like you say stuff like that to me, because that was never my intent. And I'm just, it's pretty awesome to have people enjoying what I do, because what I do is just what I've always done or done for a long time. It's just me. It's just my life. It's just my boring life. And if it can help somebody out in some way, then that's awesome for me. So I appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Well, let's leave the audience with somewhere where they can find you. Instagram handle, email, whatever you want to give out.
On Instagram, I'm Jake_D_Downs, because apparently there's a billion Jake Downses out there, and I can't find a simple one. I do have a podcast of my own that I just basically talk about what we talked about today, a little bit of the lifestyle that I lead. I kind of try to attack things from a, like we did today. I try to attack things from a different perspective, not the normal perspective that most podcasts are. It's just me talking. So it's just basically like I did here, just rambling about, normal life things, that maybe a lesson I learned or whatever. So it's not for everybody, but I am a dumbass. So it is kind of funny sometimes. I do stupid stuff and then talk about it. But that's basically it. Those two platforms there. So.
Perfect, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll definitely be inviting you on in the show again in the future. So if you want to come back on, you have more than the opportunity. You're more than welcome anytime to come back on. And if anybody wants to go out and follow you, I sure hope they do. I enjoyed I think first 3 episodes of your podcast, and makes me want to get my wife on my podcast, but it would be bleep, 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 bleep. She's got the mouth of a sailor, man.
Yeah, so do I. I apologize for the bleeping that you're going to have to do on this one. I tried. I do. That's the funny thing is I've had people tell me that, I'm doing this for kids. I'm not doing my stuff is not for kids. It's about being a family man, but it's about the adult, not the child. Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Sweet. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, and you have a great night.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yep. All right, guys, that's this episode of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, if you want to leave a comment with a review, be happy to take requests or whatever you guys want to hear about. I want to talk about what you guys want to listen about. So let me know if you guys have something. Get a hold of me on Instagram. It's On Point with Garrett Weaver on Instagram. Facebook, you can leave a review and then leave your comment or suggestion in the comment area of the review. Whatever way you feel is best, you can email me at garrettweaverhunts@gmail.com and get a hold of me there. And I really just want to come out with what you guys want to hear about. So outside of that, guys, appreciate you for listening, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.